guys, and welcome to Z Intern's Office. This is my interpretation of my internship of all the experiences that I gained through the internship this summer, starting in May and ending in August. I had a great time working there, but the most important thing is that I learned a lot about the business and what it means to work hard in this industry. I learned everything from advertising, sales, broadcasting, where to work, and what type of workplace environment it is, even to selling myself in a logo. It was a great experience, and I can't wait to show you guys what I learned, and this is the video to start it.
Before you can get the internship, you obviously need to apply. One way to apply is to go to the website of which the radio station has. From my own personal experience, this would be kzia.com. From there, you can go to Contact, and then go Contact Z. When you go to Contact Z, you'll get a list. That list comprises of all the ways you can contact Z.102.9. If you're going for an internship opportunity, the best way to do it would be to contact them through email. That way you can give your credentials as a student and explain why you're contacting them.
Before we get started, I want to shed some light on the interview real quick. Why? Because the radio industry is nothing like any other job you'll ever have. You need to be outgoing. They're not going to hire somebody who's shy and quiet because they're trying to sell personality to people, so then they want to listen. So you need to be ready to do whatever they ask you to on a moment's notice, even if it embarrasses you. So be ready for that.
So, let me ask you a question right off the bat. What do you think are your greatest strengths as a manager?
Why don't I tell you what my greatest weaknesses are? I work too hard, I care too much, and sometimes I can be too invested in my job.
Okay. And your strengths?
Well, my weaknesses are actually strengths.
Oh. Yes. Very good.
There you go.
Very good.
So I'm going to take the interview process through 3 steps. 1 being interaction. Interaction is the most important step in this process because the radio station is looking for that personality. So when you're answering the questions that the interviewer is asking you, don't be afraid to interact a little bit. Say what you're thinking, show that personality, and be outgoing because they need to see that right away. The questions they ask are actually kind of cool. It'll pertain to your personal interests, so it should be easy to interact, but make sure that when they ask those questions that you don't just answer them plain Jane. Go off a little bit. Tell them a little about yourself, and don't be afraid to let it all out, because they love that, and that's what people want to listen to. Somebody who's a person and not a robot, reading a list of things that they always answer. So now that the interaction is over and the personality has been laid out, it's time to explore your options. What can you do in this radio station to help make it better? Based on your personality, you might be thrown in broadcasting, sales, or advertising. But you need to explore your options in each of these. Ask questions about both because, believe me, they all interact with each other on a daily basis. So it's nice to know a little bit about them before you get into the internship or a job scenario. And lastly, express your concerns. Granted, you're applying for a job, so try not to be the bearer of bad news about everything, but don't be afraid to say some things that you aren't comfortable doing. You are going to be asked to do things that you aren't comfortable with, like I said before, but it's also okay to have boundaries. So don't be afraid to lay some boundaries before you get into the job so you're not thrown into an awkward situation and embarrass yourself professionally and both publicly, because that's not very fun. Just ask any celebrity. So what does a radio station look like? Well, it looks like any other office, except inside there are comprised of 3 teams. There's the broadcasters, the advertising people, and then the sales people. Due to a waiver I signed, I can't exactly show any pictures or a video of what the radio station looked like inside Z, but I can kind of elaborate on what it is that each team is involved with and what they do and what their role is inside the radio station. So let's begin. So you got the job. Mine and Michael Scott's interviewing tips are spot on, and now we're on to our next phase. Sales. What are sales in radio? They're not like your everyday sales where you're selling merchandise for people. You're selling a service for people. You're selling your airspace. When it comes to radio, airspace is the most important thing and is the bread and butter to sales. You buy this airspace from the government because we don't own the airspace around us, which sounds silly, but when it comes to radio, you need rights to broadcast what you're about to broadcast. A sales team is very vital to the radio station. It makes all the money for the radio station and gives the jobs for the broadcasters and the advertising people to do. Without the salespeople handling the clients first, they would never even get to advertising and never even get anything on the air so the broadcasters could say it. So without them, it's easy to say that the radio station would be nothing, even though the salespeople never get heard about and they never get a toot their own horn. But I'm here to tell you now that they are very important to the radio station, and without them, Z.102.9 would never even exist. So what are your tools of the trade as a radio salesman? Well, it's not like you're selling a used car or any electronic device at a Best Buy. You're selling airspace to people, and the only way you can get that airspace sold is to sell what the radio station brings to offer here. What the radio station offers is a certain type of format and a demographic. So what is format? The best way I can explain format to you is through a communication sense. It's a theme. So if you're writing a paper or a story, there's always a theme to it. Kind of like Z. Z is a radio station that plays music. Well, what type of music? Well, the format that radio station is a pop sensation. They play pop music and usually new age music that came out and is part of a pop culture, which is very big in the United States. Now, because pop culture is big in the United States, a salesperson needs to know that when they're talking to the client, that there should be a certain listener that the client has in mind. They need to have an advertisement built up ready for a certain select group that they want to go after, like the demographics, which is next. To help further explain this idea of demographics, I have a handout for you. On the handout are the demographics of Cedar Rapids. Some of those demographics would be the population, the ethnic groups that are inside Cedar Rapids, and the types of jobs Cedar Rapids creates. If you're going to be a salesman selling airspace at a local radio station in Cedar Rapids, you need to understand these demographics. That way, if a client came to you and asked questions, you know exactly what type of listeners are inside the city and what type of advertising would be great for that city. And now that you know both of those tools, we can hand it off to the advertising, which is just the second team inside the radio station. So we just got done with our professional salesman. Now you're on to the creative geniuses of what advertising is for the radio station. After a sale is made, the client needs to work with the advertising people because that's what's next in the process. When I was talking about that feeling that salespeople should sell, this is where it came from. Advertising people are the people who create the feeling for salesmen to sell. Without this feeling, Z102.9 would just be like any other radio station that plays music. But it's not. It has a feeling packed in behind it. This feeling of summer and that pop culture that drives it through gets the people going. And I'll show you how. And this is the feeling I was talking about. Advertisers need to be creative, but they also need to remember that feeling that Z102.9 brings. Behind me are the lights, and then I have the shirt. It's a pop culture thing. This is what they're selling. The clients want that pop culture because that's why they came to Z102.9 in the first place. It's a type of feeling that people can enjoy. It's really fun and it's outgoing. So that's what the creative advertisers need to be. Fun and outgoing. And if you have to have lights and crazy shirts, then so be it. But that's what being creative is. You need to be different. And being different can make you stand out more than any other radio station around. And that's why Z102.9 has been locally owned and been very profitable for the past 20 years or so. When performing advertising in radio, you need to understand discursive sign systems. Discursive sign systems are messages created through oral or verbally talking or written out scripts. This would be an example of a non-discursive sign. See the Z logo in the Z102.9? That's a signifier. When people see this Z, they know what it's associated with. That's perfect for advertising, because now when they slap this Z on anything, people automatically know that it's associated with the radio station, which is great for business. You'll see this every once in a while in the summer when Z has their sticker campaign. If you have a sticker on your car and you're spotted, you have a chance to earn money. This is great for the radio station, and it's such an easy idea, just from one little non-discursive sticker. That sticker could signify a lot, and sometimes it signifies winning cash. And if you can get people to think they're going to win money by listening to your radio station, that means you're probably going to have a lot of listeners, which is always good for business. We just got done talking about signifying signs, the non-discursive and the discursive. But when you're producing a message, it's important to understand a process. And being a communication major, I know that process. And here it is. We like to follow PIM, production and interpretation of a message, into a shared meaning. So when you're producing this ad, it should be interpreted the same throughout. Everybody should know what you're talking about, whether you're buying it or you're not. That way, when people see it, they're not confused. And that way, it doesn't make the radio station look bad because you're coming out with messages that no one understands. That's not what you want for advertising, and that's definitely not what you want for radio. Because radio is a business built on signs. Through logo, through verbal interaction, through everything. So you really need to be clear on how you communicate, because that's everything in this business. You got it?
If you're showing interest in becoming a broadcaster, you need to get your degree. Why? Because being a broadcaster means you need to be proficient in both advertising and sales. So most of the time, broadcasters are people who have worked in the business for quite some time, because these skills aren't easy to acquire. You're not only providing these people the news that they need to know every day in the current events, but you're also doing weather and other entertainment so that they want to listen to the show. And if that's not enough,
You need to be quick on your feet as well, because sometimes when you have a guest speaker on air, you'll get thrown off topic, and you need to just go with the flow and make sure that everyone's happy. Straight this, I'll show you and try to reenact the very first time I was ever put on the air when I got my intern named Nemo for my internship that summer.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to Schulte and Swan in the morning. I'm Schulte. This is my partner, Swan.
And we're here today to interview person number 6.
Morning, guys. How's it going? I'm a little scared and nervous here. It's my first time ever being on the air.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. Good to meet you. Now, where do you go to college at?
Well, I attend at Mount Mercy University, born and raised Tiffin, Iowa, Clear Creek, Ashton Kutcher alum. Feels good to be out here, but I'm almost a college grad, so how are you guys?
Oh, well, hey, Mustangs! Go Stangs! What are you going to college for?
Well, I'm attending school to do journalism and communications, so I can maybe be one of you guys someday. Who knows?
Very cool, very cool. And by that, I'm sure you mean you want to be more like me, not really like him, trust me. What type of interests do you have?
Well, I enjoy long walks on the beach, puppies, women, but I really enjoy buying shoes and watching movies with my boys because I have 4 roommates at home. But other than that, I really enjoy playing basketball.
Oh, well, speaking of basketball, how about that Doug McDermott?
Well, yeah, he's a great player. He's from Iowa, so let's go alum. I mean, we love our boys from the good old Hawkeye State, but too bad he went to Creighton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Creighton. It's in Nebraska. Pretty phenomenal place. Anyways, I heard you had another friend named Doug growing up that really couldn't make it here today. It's unfortunate.
Well, yeah, actually, I had a fish named Doug that I had bought with 2 other fish, but they only lived for about 2 days because Doug happened to be a psychopath murderer and ended up murdering both of my other fish the next day. So he's not alive anymore either because he went to his pineapple igloo and ended up dying, but it might have been because I forgot to feed him, but that's not the point. He's not here right now, but yes, I did have a fish named Doug who was a murderer.
So you had a fish named Doug who murdered the rest of your fish.
Yeah, that's probably the strangest thing I think I've ever heard of. So what would be a good name for this little guy?
Nemo.
It's important to remain calm when you're on the air like that for the first time. I was lucky that I was with Schulte and Swan because they have been doing this for so long that they made it super comfortable for me to be there. But just remember, you're there for a reason. Just let your star shine and do what you're supposed to do, because that's what you're there for. Remember, during that interview process, you're supposed to bleed out your personality. This is when you get to show why you were chosen. So don't forget, knock it out of the park. So those are some things you might be doing inside the radio station. Broadcasting, advertising, and sales. They all work together to promote the emotion and the feeling that we've been trying to talk about this entire time. Once that feeling can be established, you need to take it to the streets. Not everybody listens to the radio, so sometimes it's nice to see you and that Z logo out on the streets. Maybe a bar in Iowa City, like Coach's Corner. McGrath Amphitheater in Cedar Rapids for concerts. Local college campuses like Mount Mercy University. You may find yourself at a booth like this, promoting.
Never asking why we kissed, I fell under your spell of love. No one could deny. I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream, my cardigan. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, man. First and foremost, I just want to comment on those superb dance moves. And I mean, now that while I'm here, let me hear what you got to say.
Let me tell you, I woke up this morning and a bird told me that good things were coming. And you know what? Let me tell you a little something about what good things are coming with. Z.102.9. It's nothing but fun, and I've got a lot of energy packed here and here. Because the logo is next to my heart. Because that's how we feel about our listeners, and that's how we feel about our radio station. It's heartfelt, and we want you involved with it.
Honestly, Nemo, your dance moves, your positivity, your energy, is the most contagious thing that I have seen all day. I am sold, my good sir. I will listen to Z102.9 immediately.
Well, sir, to be honest, that means a lot to me because we try to project that to everybody and all of our listeners every day. So, a token of my gratitude to you, I'd like to give you this free Z102.9 t-shirt to show off and make sure everyone else knows how just cool we are. Thanks, man.
We are always running for the thrill of it, always pushing up the hill, searching for the thrill of it, all along.
All in all, I had a great time that summer. I danced on stages I never thought I'd dance on. I said things on the air that I never thought I'd say. But I learned a lot, and it was a great professional experience that I gained. On top of that, I had the best summer ever, and I'm here to leave you with this video to show you just how great that summer was, and to also promote Z102.9 to you, so hopefully you'll listen someday.
When a man is laying on his deathbed, there are 4 things that go through his mind. Was I well loved? Check. Did I express myself? Did I let my light shine through? Check. Will an attractive woman cry at my funeral? Check. Probably more than one. Check, 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 check. Lastly, did I achieve success and own real estate? And when I close on this condo, I will be able to check that one as well.